Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darison Chauskas. Today is the 5th of September 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session. Where we're gonna have a look at the markets, a few instruments. Just to kind of remind you, we didn't have any of the videos, neither the Traders Espresso nor the Traders Tea Time for about 2 weeks. So I was off for that period, and now I'm back, and hopefully we can get back on track. But before we start looking at the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a very quick reminder of our JFD Brokers website, and specifically our JFD research page, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. We throw out different trading not shout outs, but different analysis, let's put it that way, which you can find useful, I believe. Just bear with me, let me just load up the website and web page, and there we go. So feel free to check us out, guys. And like I said, as I've mentioned before, I believe you can find something useful here for yourselves. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is the FTSE 100. So overall, looking at this daily picture, we can see that yes, recently FTSE has not experienced, let's say, good trading activity here. It wasn't really looking for quite positive. It continues to slide here after hitting this short-term downside resistance line here around the 8th of August, and now it continues to move lower, as you can see on the daily chart as well, which is quite important here. The fact that it's now trading slightly below this 200 EMA shown as the black line. So at the moment, overall, we're overall in the short term, I would say we're still quite negative on this index, and we could expect this a little bit to drop a little bit further, especially if we see a nice good break here and a close below the 74.30 mark. Now this level, as you can see, acted as a very nice strong area of support here and recently, yesterday. Guys, feel free to have a look at this level, and of course, like I said, keep your eyes on that one, because like I said, if we do get a nice break and a close below the 74.30, we could expect further declines. The next potential area of support to watch here would be the 73.35 mark, which was the low here seen on around the 25th of April. Now this is a very nice good area of support, potential support, of course. As you can see here by this line that I've got drawn here, certainly it's slightly tentative here, but nevertheless quite important upside support line. It only had 2 touches here, but nevertheless something for us to keep an eye on, because if this continues to fall further and we start breaking the 73.35 zone as well, this could open the path towards this upside support line, which also could coincide here, and probably let's say, if we do get a drop here, if we do get a further decline, so it also could test this 71.92 mark. As you can see, this one has been a very nice strong area of support here, seen around the 16th of April. So very good area to watch, of course. But for this 71.92, we would need to see initially, of course, a good strong break here below the 74.30, and then a break below the 73.35. But that's something what's in regards to the long term. But let's say if we jump into a 4-hour chart on this one, this is the picture that we can see here. So initially, of course, aim for the test of the 74.30 if of course that continues to move lower again. So just quickly highlight this level for you guys. So if we do get a nice move here, let me just actually put some arrows here. If we do get a nice move here below the 74.30, this could open the path towards this 73.35 mark. Certainly, if we do get to this point, we'll just have to reevaluate it again. But yeah, we might get a bounce off of it. Certainly that could be a scenario, but of course let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, and let's see what he wants to do with this level first. If let's say this decides not to move towards the 74.30 anymore, and we see a strong nice good reversal back to the upside, well, on the very short term, keep your eyes on this little level right here. Let me just quickly highlight that for you, and that's around the 75.35 mark, approximately there. So a nice good break here above could open the path towards this next potential area of resistance at around this level right here, at around 76.37, something like that, approximately there. Of course, you can round it up towards the 76.40, but initially, like I said, aim for this 76.37. This could be a nice good potential area of resistance if we do get a nice break above the 75.35 mark. So let's jump into one commodity that I really wanted to touch on, and that's gold. And that's yep, so this precious metal, it's trying to show some strength here. As you can see, we've broken this downside resistance line here, taken the short-term downside resistance line taken from the 14th of June. Certainly on slightly maybe bigger term, we are still trading below this one here as well. Let me just quickly draw this one here. So this is the another downside resistance line that kind of, it continues to get respected here. If this commodity, if this precious metal actually bounces off nicely from its newly found area of support at around 1190s here, as you can see, yesterday it found its support here, and now we're seeing a nice kind of bounce off of it a little bit. Of course, the day has just started, but nevertheless we could continue pushing higher here, maybe even towards this downside resistance line taken from the 11th of April this year. So could be a nice possible test. We could see a possible scenario of something like this here, where, like I said, yeah, we could continue pushing higher here a little bit higher, of course, test this downside resistance line, get rejected here, maybe get another push lower. So for now, of course, just keep your eyes on this, especially keep your eyes on the 1190, because if we do get a break here below the 1190 level, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the bears, because we could see them trying to pull back the precious metal, the commodity, a little bit lower towards this area here, towards this previous good area of support around the 1183, and that level acted as a very nice support here on the 24th of August. So we could see something like this happening. We could basically see a move lower where we could test that 1183, but if that doesn't hold, we do have this short-term downside resistance line that could get tested from above, and which could also act as a nice bouncing ground for this precious metal. So something like that could be possible as well, guys. But overall, of course, we're overall in the short term, again, should correct myself, we're still more positive on this one. We could be aiming for the 1200s again, maybe slightly a little bit higher here to 18, so it could be a nice level to watch. But if this, let's say, if this precious metal decides to move back down here and breaks this downside resistance line, this short-term downside resistance line, now this of course could open the path back down towards this 1160 that it found, where it found its support here around the 16th of August. This could be a nice level to test, and if that doesn't hold this time, well, further declines are possible. We could continue dropping, but of course before we start examining those lower levels, let's see what he wants to do with this downside resistance decline first. Of course, it's a bit of a tentative one, I do agree with that, but nevertheless, keep your eyes on it, and like I said, yep, keep your eyes on this level first. Of course, for now, the 1190 level, let's see what he wants to do with it. If it starts breaking it, we could drop further here. The next level to watch, the next potential level of support to watch is 1183, but if that doesn't hold again, I mean, we could drop below this downside resistance line, this kind of tentative downside resistance line. So for now, guys, certainly keep your eyes on that. Let's see what he wants to do with this 1190. If it proves to be a nice bouncing ground, well, open your eyes for the 1200 initially, and of course then the 1218. Let's jump into one crypto quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but nevertheless, I just want to quickly show you now. Of course, Bitcoin continues to slowly climb higher. Now, probably I need to jump into a 4-hour chart in this one. And as you can see, we are trading higher here. We continue to trade within this rising channel here, and certainly the big question here is: this going to continue to hold, or actually we're gonna break lower? Maybe it's just, this is just to see as a correction here, where the crypto could actually move lower again. But to be honest, before we start considering the downside, we would need to see a nice good break here below this lower bound of the rising channel, and this is where we could start then aiming for lower levels. But for now, of course, on the short term, but for now, as you can see, it continues to move higher. It seems that it wants to move higher. Certainly we could get a bit of a correction here to the downside, but again, as I said just right now, it could be just a correction where we could test the lower bound of the of this rising channel, and then we could move higher again. So for now, guys, be very careful. Certainly keep your eyes on this formation. It's quite an interesting one. If, let's say, this decides to push strongly up here, now this is where it could become more interesting for the bulls, because we could see maybe a nice break here through the upper bound of the rising channel, and we could aim higher here. We could start aiming maybe possibly for the highs seen around July time. Let me just highlight one of these levels here, and this could be a nice level here to watch around the 85 mark, so 8500 mark. So something like this could be possible, of course, but for that we would need to see a nice good strong break above this upper bound of the rising channel, and this is where the crypto could head higher quickly. Okay, let's jump into euro dollar and the euro dollar, and this is a 4-hour chart on the euro dollar. Now, certainly, actually, let me jump into the daily just to look at the overall picture here. So as you can see, we recently had our nice, in the mid-August, we had our nice reversal back to the upside here, and you can see now that the pair has found its good area of support here at around 115.30. Now this is going to play out as a nice critical level to watch, because if we do get a nice break here below this 115.30, now this is where the path towards lower levels could be opened again. Certainly for now, judging by the short-term picture, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart. Judging by the short-term picture, we could expect maybe another move higher, but then again, some people could probably argue here and say that, hey, you know, maybe this is actually a kind of small head and shoulders forming here. As you can see here, we do have the left shoulder, then kind of the big head here, and now the right shoulder. But to be honest, until that is formed, we cannot really assume that and say that this is definitely going to be this formation. So basically, if long story short, I would say, if we the arrow wrong way, there we go, sorry guys. If we basically get a nice break here below the 115.30, now this is where it could become interesting, and this is where we could actually potentially agree on this formation here on the 4-hour chart, this kind of short-term formation, where we could maybe assume that this is actually a nice head and shoulders formation here. So, but for that, of course, we need to see the break of the well, the so-called neckline here. So at around 115.30, if, like I said, if this is a head and shoulders formation. So keep your eyes on this, guys. Certainly, this could be quite interesting. But if this, let's say, if the pair reverses back to the upside here and moves towards this 116.30 zone, a nice good break here above the 116.30 could open the path towards these highs that we saw here around the 28th of August, and that's around the 117.35. Now, could be a good level to watch, but for that, of course, we would need to see a nice good break here above the 116.30 initially. So basically, long story short, guys, keep your eyes on these two levels that I'm just highlighting right now. So the 116.30 and the 115.30. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on very quickly before I ran out of time, and that's the USDJPY. Again, with this one is a bit of a tricky one on the daily chart. As we can see, continues to climb higher, slowly continues to climb higher. But if we jump back into the 4-hour chart, you can see that we are kind of trying to move higher here. Certainly, this is the level to watch here, the 111.85, approximately there, guys. So keep your eyes on that level. If we do get a nice break here above this 111.85, aim for the 112.15 zone. Now this 112.15 zone was marked by the high that we saw here around the 1st of August. So very good potential level of resistance, but for that, of course, we would need to see a nice good break here above this 111.85. On the downside, well, of course, it could move a little bit lower here, but for us, let's say, to start considering even lower levels, we need to see a good break here below this 110.65. Now this is where the pair could travel lower and maybe even test the 109.75 here, as you can see here, which was marked here by the low of the 20th of August. But again, like I said, this is a bit of a big move here towards this area, but to be honest, it's better to be safe than sorry. So for now, we're going to just observe this pair. And of course we're gonna observe these levels that I've just highlighted for you guys. Okay, I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you found it useful. And if you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, and that's 13:15 GMT, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye bye.